Hello everybody, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus, that's Kevin. Today, we're talking about the prospects heading into the NFL Draft. I'll show you my rankings, broken down by tiers, and by that I mean my children crying because daddy would rather watch football than spend time with them. They're lovely children, but they can't fantasy football for shit. More specifically, today's video is about my guys. The guys I believe in no matter where they get drafted. These players all showed me something in their tape that made me go, that's my guy. This goes beyond whatever round they're actually going to get drafted in the NFL Draft. That definitely matters, but only so much. And eventually, the cream rises to the top. So here's my cream. Caleb Williams being the number one certainly won't surprise you, though I'm probably into him less than most. But I have a nasty habit of picking apart all quarterback prospects. I'm also lower on Drake May than most. He's not my number two in this draft. For me, it's Jayden Daniels, my guy. LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels is 23 years old, 6'3", he's got a good arm, he's accurate, mobile, gets rid of the ball quick, throws a good deep ball. Last year, he threw for over 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns, while only throwing 4 interceptions. He also had 1,000 yards rushing. I could get more specific about how impressive his numbers are, but numbers are boring. The numbers say he's stupid good. So what are my concerns with Daniels? Size. I loved his tape, but he looked small. It was like watching Drew Brees, but in Prince's body. But it turns out he's not short. He's 6'3", but he is skinny, 185 pounds. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty skinny. But sandwiches can cure that. Lamar Jackson weighed 215 pounds in college. Daniels is gonna have to bulk up to reach that, but this is a solvable problem. Given enough time in an NFL program, he can gain muscle and mass, whereas Bryce Young will never reach the top shelf. Sorry, buddy. Hashtag stepladders for life. I'm not worried anyone is overlooking Daniels. He won the friggin' Heisman. I'm sure he'll get drafted high, but currently, all I hear about is Caleb Williams and Drake May. Except for Dan Orlovsky.
If I were the Chicago Bears right now, I would take Jayden Daniels out of LSU. That is not a knock on Caleb Williams, that is a plus in Jayden Daniels.
I think the Bears draft Caleb Williams because of his upside, because of the question marks still hanging around Justin Fields, and because of having a rookie QB contract versus paying Justin Fields. Caleb Williams could be everything everybody wants in time, but for right now, I'd rather have Jayden Daniels. I'd be shocked if he wasn't the second quarterback off the board to the Commanders, which admittedly will tarnish his upside. Not because he won't have receiving options, but because it's the Commanders. They're a poverty franchise that live in a haunted dumpster fire. But Washington still has time to fuck this up. I wanted to give you one more quarterback that was a surprise. But when it comes to quarterbacks, there rarely are surprises. There's a lot I like about Tulane's Michael Pratt. He's got the size, the arm strength, and the mobility you'd like at the position. However, he comes from a smaller school and his production was modest. I've heard zero chatter on him, which means he's not likely to get drafted high and certainly not with any expectations to start. That being said, I'm gonna keep my eye on him. For me, there's two guys at the top of this year's running back class, Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. If there's a third guy in this top tier, it's Notre Dame's Audric Estime. This dude is a brick shithouse. 6 foot, 227 pounds, looks like he eats cattle for breakfast. Last year, he rushed for 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns. The year before that, he had 900 yards with 12 touchdowns. That's 2 years with good production. He can work his way through traffic, but he's also got power. Go watch the Alabama game, where he smashed into a pile and bullied 4 defenders for extra yards before they finally brought him down. He can go around you or through you. My only concern is a lack of receiving. It's not that he can't catch, he averaged about 15 receptions the last 2 years in college, but it doesn't seem to be a big part of his game. So potentially, that's a ding to his fantasy ceiling. But I'm not dissuaded. He's gonna be a legitimate touchdown threat with that long speed and near the goal line. He's also just 20 years old. My second running back was gonna be Travion Henderson, but he decided to go back to Ohio State for another year. So instead, I'm dropping down one tier and going with Tennessee's Jalen Wright. He's been described as an all-purpose back. If you had to pinpoint one defining trait for Wright, it's speed. He's a decent size at 5'11", 210 pounds. He's shown some receiving ability. He has a nice spin move when defenders get hands on him, and he fights for more. But if he gets into open space, he's gone. You will not catch him. Last year, he had 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 22 receptions. I'm projecting a little bit with this guy. Usually I'm not just about speed, unless it's lateral quickness. But there's a lot to like here. I think he's capable of more. He's also in a tier with a lot of question marks. A lot of guys in this tier are undersized or lacking in other areas. Wright seems like a pretty safe bet to be a contributor at the pro level. One final name here, and it's the newest addition for me, Isaac Guerendo from Louisville. He's 6 foot, 220 pounds, had 1,000 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns last year. He's a converted wide receiver, which is probably why he was taking kickoff returns, but special teams ability only adds to his value. So he's a good size with top shelf speed and receiving ability. Again, I'm projecting a bit with Guerendo. He's the kind of guy that could get drafted in the 6th round and then end up the starter somewhere in like 2 years. I like way too many receivers in this class. Malik Neighbors, Adonai, I don't know his name, Mitchell, somebody, A. Mitchell. How do you say that? Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette. This receiving class is deep, but I'm gonna jump down one tier. Here's 3 receivers that I love, and you can draft them all outside the 1st round. If Rondale Moore and DJ Moore had a baby, you'd have questions. But the result could very well be Malik Washington out of Virginia. He had over 1,400 yards last year on 110 receptions and 9 touchdowns. He's only 5'9", but he's a solid 194 pounds. At times, he looks more like a running back after the catch. He's got plenty of speed, breaks tackles, he can make tough catches in traffic, he's a good route runner, and he can create a lot of yak. He was listed to be one of the standout players from the Shrine Bowl. Toss him in the slot, and he could produce as a rookie. Jalen Polk from Washington. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. Last year, he had 69 receptions for 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's great at the catch point, and he has good body control. He's been called a ball-winning wide receiver too, and that's probably what he'll be in the NFL. I like his fight. He converted 51% of his contested catches into receptions. SI.com called him one of the best deep ball threats in this class. I've seen him compared to Robert Woods, and there are times I see a little bit of Brandon Cooks in him too. Javon Walker out of UCF, 6'1", 208 pounds, put up 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last year on only 52 receptions. He's shown great hands and body control, ability to change direction quickly. The Draft Network called him a nuanced route runner. I love nuance, and I love good route running. Lance Zierlein compared him to Charger Josh Palmer. Brock Bowers and Jatavian Sanders top the tight end group, but Ohio State's Cade Stover is pretty highly regarded too. He started his college career as a defender, playing linebacker and defensive end before he transitioned to tight end. Last year, he had 41 receptions for over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's somewhat modest numbers, and it's only 1 year of production. He's got great hands, he's good after contact, breaks tackles, hurdles defenders. The biggest concern with him is probably his blocking. PFF, or rated his blocking pretty low, to which he said, "Go fuck yourself, fucky." I'm paraphrasing. He actually said, "They don't know what the hell I'm doing out there." And I mean, he could be right, but I feel like they do a little bit at least. No clue how high he'll get drafted, but I assume he's not starting as a rookie. Hopefully, he gets some use in his rookie season. I'm looking at him for next year and beyond. He's only been a tight end for 2 years, so it makes sense that he's still a work in progress. He's a dynamic athlete with room to grow. Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State might be less refined than Stover, but he's 2 years younger and had 2 years of similar production. Sinnott has great hands. He's a decent blocker, which I actually value. It doesn't equal fantasy football points, but it does get you on the field, which is where they keep the points. He was versatile in college, lining up all over. He's been called a high upside developmental prospect. I haven't completed ranking the defensive players in this class yet. What I can tell you is I'm pretty high on Edge Leatu Latu out of UCLA, though I probably slaughtered his name, and Jonah Ellis out of Utah. I'm also a fan of linebacker Peyton Wilson out of NC State. I'm not planning on doing another one of these. My rankings are as flexible as anybody else's. However, I will be doing more fantasy football content in the future. After the NFL draft, I will do a breakdown of every team based on their division, so look out for that. I don't grade drafts, but I do give a projected outlook for the rookies and the existing team based on the draft storylines I see. Last year, I was pretty accurate. I guess we'll find out if I can do it again or if that was just luck. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. Leave your comments below. Say hi to your mom for me, and we'll catch you next time. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Oh, I screwed up a lot.